Queen's Table Talk. Today, I would like to welcome a 16-year-old young man. His name is Demir Gaskin. He is my son. And today, we are deciding to talk about the peer pressure of teens. Um, how does he feel about being a young man that's going through a different illness, domestic violence as he was a child, and also the passing of his father? We'll have different subjects and also about racism. Let's welcome 16-year-old Demir Gaskin. How are you today?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. First off, I would like to thank you for coming on today and being my guest. I know this may be quite awkward because I'm your mother, but what's more better than to interview someone that's in these days and ages as a young teenager, a black male in America? How does it feel being a young teenager in 2019?
Not safe, especially at school,
Okay, why don't you feel safe at school?
because it's like a threat every week or so.
Okay.
Like, I have to watch my back, wondering who's gonna be the person to try to, like, kill everyone at school.
Okay. So at this day and age that you don't feel safe in school, sometimes you may not even want to go to school because of you're afraid that you're going to get shot.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's the problem these days and ages. As millennial kids, they're more afraid of walking down the road because they feel like they're going to get targeted. As a young African American man, of being a thug or just out to no good, and then they're more afraid when they go to school, and instead of them going to school to get an education, he's pretty much worried about if he's going to be on a red alert in school. I would also like to talk about what do you feel could be changed in the school system as in learning.
Less favoritism, more black education, like Black History Month. Teach a whole month of what has happened, like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, and so on and so forth.
So you're saying now that they really don't teach much about African American history in school.
You know,
And how does that make you feel?
like, just degraded, because black people basically built this country. We had to bear the lash on our back just to build this country, but we have no credit.
Okay. So how does it feel when you see another peer in your school of another color get treated more fairly than what you're treated? Do you think it's favoritism?
Yes, I get aggravated. I feel degraded. I feel like that if I'm not like them, I won't make it in this world.
But as a young man, that you know that you're a king, you come from royalty.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what is the peer pressure in school with your peers these days?
Drugs, alcohol, sex, skipping, just anything.
And is that a good thing in these days? Is that the cool thing now?
For them it is, but not for me.
Okay. All right. Why do you think these kids are doing this now?
They weren't raised like they should have been. They're just been raised around the wrong crowd. Their parents are not responsible enough to watch their kids and what they do. They don't dig into their children's lives to see what's going on. I know it's sometimes an invasion of privacy, but sometimes you have to do it.
Okay. So I would like to know another thing. You're going through a time period in your life right now that you're going through different illnesses. How does that make you feel?
Strong,
Okay. Why do you feel strong?
because God has tested me.
Okay.
He's seeing if I can keep my faith and see how strong I am to make it through another day.
And how important is your faith as a young man?
It's extremely. It's, if I don't have faith, what's the point of being here?
Okay. Do you think that they should put faith back in school?
Yes, they should put church back in school too.
And what do you think that would change in the school system?
Less gun violence, less suicide rates. But I'm not saying just Christianity. I'm talking about like the whole 9 yards. On Judaism, like everything.
So you feel that they should not just discriminate and just put one part, everyone in the school should be able to celebrate their religion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I need you to speak up for me a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, what do you feel how did you feel? You were a very young age. When was the first time that you experienced domestic violence in your life?
It was at least when I was 5 or 4. We were outside of you, my dad, me, my brother and sister, and my cousin were outside of my grandmother's house. Where me and my brother and my sister and my cousin were in the car, and you and my dad was in an argument. And all of a sudden, you and two were fighting. And then my grandmother's just sitting there watching, not doing anything, and you're fighting for your life, yelling, "Call the police." And it's pitch black outside, so we're just sitting there screaming in the car, "Call the police," and no one had a phone. And my grandmother was just so intent on, like, not having her son go to jail. She just sat there and watched, didn't try to go call the police or anything.
And how did that make you feel seeing your father or doing that?
Angry, helpless. I felt like I needed to protect you, but I couldn't because I was so young and I didn't know what was going on.
Okay, how do you feel about a man putting his hand on a woman or a woman putting her hand on a man in a violent way?
It's unnecessary. If you feel like you get to that point, just leave. And if you are in a situation where you're getting hit or you're hitting someone, just find help. That's the best thing you could do because it's not worth it.
Okay. So you're saying that you would never put your hand on a woman?
Yeah.
Okay. And how is it with sex with teenagers these days?
Basically, STDs are like an all-time high at our school. There's someone pregnant in my school.
Okay. And what would you tell teens about not having sex?
Save yourself.
And why is that so important that you save yourself?
It's first, God says save yourself until marriage, and you need to find the right person to do it with.
Okay.
Like, do it with someone you love and that you know you'll be with for a while.
And how long do you think that a teenager your age or someone maybe a little bit older, how old do you think they should be before they even think about it?
Maybe at least 20 to 21.
Okay. So we're back on the topic of teenagers and peer pressure, violence in the school, drugs, not having enough education about African American. And you're hearing it first from a child that's in high school that's 16 years old. He decided to come on here and talk about it because there's a lot of shows, they don't interview teenagers. They only show negative parts of the African American community or them getting arrested or them fighting. He's a 16-year-old young man that has experienced so much in his life, but yet he's conquering everything. He's letting you know that his faith is strong, that teenagers, they should wait for sex, that peer pressure is an all-time high in this society. How do you feel about the music that you're hearing now versus the music that was in the 90s or 70s or 80s?
It's just encouraging violence. Like, if you go on YouTube now and search up a rapper, they either have guns, drugs, sex, or anything in it just to promote violence.
Okay. And what would you tell a young teenager now about the music they should be listening to?
Like, listen to something that, like, it's encouraging, that gives you hope, like gospel music, like whatever that does not have violence, that will cause you to feel a certain type of way or do a certain type of thing.
Okay. And do you think that when the teenagers these days listen to this music, do you think they try to mimic what's going on?
Some of them do.
So, and how do you feel about? I would say this: in your school, are the girls dressing provocatively, or are the guys being degrading of women in your school?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay, and how does in your daily activities in school, what do guys usually say to females in school? I'm saying, what are they saying to the females? Are they saying negative things to them, or are they saying positive things?
Negative.
Okay, and the females, how do they act in school?
Just out of control. Like one little thing will tick them off and they'll blow up over everyone. They'll fight. Even the males, they'll fight for no reason.
Okay. Okay, you guys, you heard it first. 16-year-old teenager in high school dealing with peer pressure, dealing with colorism, dealing with racism, dealing with lack of knowledge of your African American history, or history, period, to that fact. Being in a situation in school that there's favoritism. And also, he touched on rap music, how it's degrading of women, sex, drugs, teaching you the wrong way. He's also talked about having strong faith in God through him going through his sickness, him going through domestic violence, watching it between myself and his father as a teenager. What can you tell another teenager right now? How can you encourage them?
Go to church. Talk to your parents. Don't hold things in. Go get counseling. Go get help. Don't think that you're in it alone. There's someone going through exactly what you're going through across the world. It's not okay just to hold it in, because once you snap and once you break, there's no putting yourself back together unless you have help.
Okay, Demir, I would like to thank you for being a guest today on Queen's Table Talk. I will be interviewing someone tomorrow, and if you guys could tune in, share, like the video, and just show it to your teenager and let them know that they're not alone, that you have a 16-year-old going through the same thing they're going through. Be strong, keep God first, and be mindful of the things you say and do, because they can possibly follow you, they can help you, or they can hurt you. Again, thank you for tuning in to Queen's Table Talk. I'm your host, Darnitha Gaskin, my guest, Demir Gaskin, and we're signing off until next time. Thank you.